Hi, welcome to another session for Selenium WebDriver. So a quick recap, what we learned in the previous sessions. We found the difference between find element and find elements, right? And then we implemented it using a list interface, that how we can collect all the given elements matching that particular locator strategy. And then we find out its size, and then based on how many elements did we capture, we can traverse them, right? We saw the difference between them as well. The main difference, probably the interviewer may ask you that if you find more than one, what the find element method is going to do. Basically, it's going to just pick up the first one it finds, whereas in the find elements, it's going to return all of them. And if there is no matching element find, then you will get an exception for the find element, whereas in find elements you may not get an exception, but it will simply return the empty list, right? So based on its size, you have to take a call whether you found it or not. And we also discovered some other ways to select the drop down, right? So for the drop down, you need to use the select class, and based on select class, you will use the different methods available. Three important methods is select by index, select by value, or select by visible text, right? And the important thing in the drop down, this is the static drop down. Basically, you will look for the select tag, and inside a select tag, you are expected to have a lot of options tag, and based on that, you will decide. And we also saw one example where we kind of understood the difference between select by value and select by visible text, right? So that difference was important. Now another thing which I asked you to do a practice is multiple, right? So sometimes in a drop down you may have this is multiple already defined. If you have that kind of if you want to check for whether I can select multiple options in a drop down, first you should use this method is multiple. It's going to return you boolean. Okay, it's going to return you boolean, and if you think or if you get a return as true, then you can have a multiple selection. And again, for multiple selection, you don't need to do anything super complicated. Just you need to repeat the dot select by index or dot select by value or dot select by visible text, whatever you decide, just one after another to select multiple values in the drop down, right? But before you do this, you need to have this check. Otherwise, what will happen? They will override on the previous selections. Okay. if it returns you false, then what will happen is dot select by index 1. First, it will select this. But if it is not multi-select, then in the next command, it will select the second index. So sometimes this kind of questions you will see in an interview when you are giving some online interviews, right? They may give you a sample HTML on your left side where they'll not have is multiple tag. Okay. And if you don't have is multiple tag, let me show you actually, that makes more sense. So if I go HTML drop down multiple select, I'll show you W3 schools. So that multiple attribute needs to be there. You see this? Okay. So yeah, so if this is not there, let me show you here. So right now, because we have this multiple tag, what it will happen is I'll able to select the multiple options. If I click on shift, see, this is how I can do it, correct? Yeah. I'll able to select multiple options. But if I go and remove this, if I just click remove and click run, now you see it has converted into a single select, right? So that's the difference. So that's why it is important to check this. The multiple is multiple available, and that's where you will able to select all of them together, right? Okay, there are some more methods. We can quickly do a practice on them. Is deselect now. Now, once you select something, probably the good example in a complex system test is where it, sometimes when you're working on an ERP system, it saves the session from a previous user, and what happens when you select on a drop down, as far as I know, like the Oracle Fusion applications or the SAP, they may save the previous session, and when you go and click on that drop down, you may already have some selected things, based on your previous session. So the good in automation, the good practice is if you find these kind of weird applications, right, first deselect all, you know, first deselect all, and then you go and start doing your select mechanism, whatever you do here, right? And then there are deselect by index, deselect by value, and deselect by visible text. So like we saw select, this is a deselect. There is nothing difference. The only thing is you need to first follow the same thing. You need to first create the object for the drop down, right, using a select class, and then you just need to select those method. Let me bring up our Eclipse. I just restarted my system. So in this kind of examples, you may get a question that what if you didn't select anything? Will the deselect still work? You know, or what if you haven't selected anything in a drop down, and when you are selecting a deselect method, what will happen? Will it select? You know, or will it throw an exception, or what kind of behavior may happen? So here, so, I have a small example already ready for you for multiple, right? I think we were checking this yesterday, but it was failing due to the iframe constraint. Okay, so iframe is another topic. We're gonna cover that iframe, the Ajax calls, and all those things. But yes, this is how you will check, and the drop down is multiple, and then you will select. But the other thing I want to show you here is, okay, let me comment this code. So here only what I'll do is drop down dot, and I will just type deselect all. Okay, and then I'll save this. So if you remember, on this Salesforce, we were selecting first 2 and 3, right? Whatever. So let me run this and deselect all. What will happen? Let's try to see. So if you if you use a deselect all, will it deselect the previous one, the all of them, or it will throw an error? You know, because that was not multi-select. Now you see this, correct? So something weird happened. What happened? You can see that in a console. Okay, is this dropdown accepting multiple select? It says false, right? And even though you may deselect all options for a multi-select, this is the error. Basically, the exception type you need to understand. It says unsupported operation exception. It doesn't say no element found, because it find the element, right? The drop-down element is visible, but the operation exactly, the operation you're trying to perform on that element is not supported. So that's why looking at the error, you need to understand what's the issue is. Okay, so this exception clearly says that this is not a multi-select drop-down, correct? And that is why you can't have a deselect all. So here, if I do an inspect element, then you may not see that multiple in the select tag, the one which we were discussing earlier, right? See this here, you don't see anywhere, right? So that's the reason this you can't use it on a, can't use this method on single select drop down, right? So for that you need a multi-select, then only you can use this method. Now, but if you want to do something else, like for example, let me say drop down dot. Now there are other deselect by index, deselect by value, and deselect by visible text, right? If if I do this deselect by index, so let's say the last selected index was 3, right? And if I try to deselect 2, let's see what happens now. Are you getting my point? 3 is the last one, right? And then if I try to deselect the 2 index, then what will happen? See, they look very obvious, but the errors which you get, that is important to understand. Now you see, again it will throw an error. Again it is saying something else. So basically it is trying to deselect the option which is not even selected, correct? So again you are getting, which one? Oh, this one. Oops. Oh, okay. Yeah. So let me comment this. Yeah, okay. So let's see this now. So the last one is, I think, enterprise something, that value. When it deselects that, what will happen? We'll check. Okay. So again, you get some error. And it says Java 244, sorry, Java line number 22, which is this, right? So here it is again showing unsupported operation exception. Now if I try to deselect 3, we will check what will happen. Let's try to deselect the option 3. Now you observe this drop down. Okay, it is again throwing an error at Java line number 22. Deselect by index.
If you if the option is not multiple period, can you use this to select?
No, you can't use it. Yeah.
Okay, right?
Yes.
Why?
Correct. So so first you need to check, is it multiple or not, right? And if it's not, then you are not supposed to use the deselect one. Okay, cool. Let's go to another. Now there are some more methods regarding the visibility of a web elements. Okay, so there are multiple methods with which you can check the visibility of web elements. The one is displayed method, and then another is selected, is enabled. So you basically you can use these methods on any of the web elements you want to, and then they'll return you the boolean. So if you use this on a let's say a text element, right, a text box. So let me show you any one example. So if you want to check whether this box is available on your page, right, first name box. So you will right click, do an inspect path, and basically you will try to identify that input. So now this is input. This input is identified with the help of user first name, right? But I think ID looks dynamic, so probably I'll take the name, right? So I'll take a name. Or if you want to select, if you want to check whether the first name, this particular text is displayed, correct? Then you will go and identify this element, and then you will use dot displayed method. If you use dot displayed method, what will happen is it will try to, so let me copy this, it will try to give you the boolean. I don't know whether did we use that anywhere. No. Okay,
maybe in the beginning.
Maybe let me check. No. Okay, quickly open a new. So I generally can say the visibility method, public static void. Let's take this, let's copy this from here to here, that's it. Okay, say this. So once I'm on this, then I'll say driver dot find element by dot, I can directly use name, right? The one I copied, sorry, let's go back, and I here go get the name. Now here there are is displayed, is enabled, and is selected, right? There are 3 different methods. So let's try this one, and as I'm saying, this is gonna return you the boolean, right? So let's say I'll say is displayed or available, just trying to use some other variable, and then we will print this. Username field is equal to whatever it is, append the value. So you'll come to know it's a displayed or not, right? Similarly, what we will do is we will copy this and we will check what will happen for others. So let me copy this. Let's go here, paste it again, paste it. I don't need to initiate this variable once again because we have already did it. Or maybe let's create a separate one. So here, instead of it displayed, I wanna use dot is enabled, right? Let's see whether it's enabled. So here I'll say enabled. So this is you no need to use this kind of methods on the text boxes or anything like that. In a system test, basically there will be a scenario where it will specifically log the input based on certain inputs you are giving at the top. Let's say in a business application, when you are entering a supplier invoice, the moment you type in the shipping address, it populates a tax code. And we don't want the user to edit the tax code. We want them it to be logged. But if it doesn't enter a ship to address, then he can manually override a tax code. So you understand what I'm talking about. Based on your application, you need to understand when you want to use this method. You no need to use this method on a generic fields like this one, where it is supposed to be enabled all the time, correct? So, but yes, just for our practice, we are using this example. And the last one, what I was saying, is enabled is selected. So again, selected is also not a correct method. See, some of them is gonna you're gonna get the error. So let me show you. Username, exactly. So here correct. So I'll say in username field enable check, and username field selected check, username field display check. Okay, so these are the three things we are doing. Now let's run this. So the first one, second one, and third one we will see. So basically it's just gonna launch and it's not gonna do anything on the browser because it is just checking, right? And then now if you see here, the first one is displayed. It says okay, true, the username field is displayed, right? The next one, it says is enabled because yeah, you can enter it, correct? It is accepting the inputs. So by default it will enter an input, like an HTML tag. By default it will be open, but if you want to hide it or if you want to protect it, then there will have to be a specific parameter which you will pass it in an input tag. Okay, so if you have that parameter, then that method will return you false. And the last one is selected check. Basically this is not even applicable. Okay, this is not even applicable, that's why you don't need to check that. Sometimes you have check boxes in that will be that should be checked for that method. Okay, so is
Sometimes they'll have like a default values that are disabled.
yes,
You can see the value in them.
yes,
So those
yes, yes. Let's try some other. I'm looking for some other example. Do you have any example? Let's.
what page are you looking for?
No, I'm looking for checkbox. Or we can try this one. Let's say inspect element. This is again a select tag, and it has an ID. It doesn't look good. Okay, company, country. This looks good. Name. So let me do one thing. Now here, alias driver dot find element by dot name. And then let's provide a name, and then here dot is selected. Okay, now let's check what happens on this one. So let me, now this time I'm not going to use any variable. So what I'll do, I'll simply wrap this particular thing, I'll wrap it inside the system.out. Okay, so drop down field selected check, and then here I'll append directly that. right? Is this okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then let's clear the console, and let me clear a lot of Firefox. Okay. And yeah, let's run this. Now on that particular drop down, it will try to check. Let's see what happens. Okay. So here is also, it is saying false because there is no checkbox ideally, right? There is nothing like a checkbox which it needs to be checked. So that's why I was looking for something else which you can actually understand, the checkbox, right? Where you click and then you see the, I hope they'll have something. Oh, work.com. Let's check this. Anyway, so those are the three different methods I wanted to introduce. Now the next thing very interesting is a dynamic dropdown. Now the dynamic dropdown, there are several types of it. Okay, and the first type is the moment you click on the dropdown link, it will load the options. You know, let me go back and show you our static dropdown. So this is the option. If you remember, you have limited number of values available in this select tag, correct? And there are fixed number of countries. So this is fine. This is easy to automate because we'll basically try to find the select tag, and then inside that we are expecting all these are options, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll traverse based on the object created for a select class we saw in a previous example. But what happens, there will be some drop downs where dynamic, the moment you click the select on this drop down, it will load the option for you in the real time, and the more you scroll down, it will more try to fetch the options for you, right?
Or from previous selection.
Exactly. Or exactly, so based on, exactly, yeah, based on your previous selection also, sometimes it may try to load the values, right? That's the first option. The next example is sometimes you may have a drop down where you need to type in, we also call it as suggestive drop downs. Okay, where you will have somewhere at the top, and the moment you type, let me go to Kayak website. I think I can show you there. So here the moment I click on airport, so moment I type san, now you see so these are suggestive drop downs. The moment I typed san, based on san, it is showing me the option as San Francisco, San Diego, San Jose, right? So based on an input, we are getting an option. Now this is the one drop down. The second drop down is, okay, the calendar. We're gonna handle calendar in a separate session. Yes, but yeah, this is the one example. So let's try to automate this. So let me go to kayak.com. So in this, what you need to do, so if I right click and inspect this, for example, I want to select San Diego. Okay, I'm just typing San, and after typing a San, I want to select a San Diego. So let's try to inspect this element. Now here you may not able to directly go to a select tag because it will not have. If you see here, right, you may not able to find a select tag and options tag, and then by index, by value, or by visible text will not work here, right? Because this particular drop down will not give you an option unless you type anything, correct? If you don't have anything like this, basically you don't even know that it's a drop down. Can you see anything? Nothing, right? So you have to type, and then based on that you get an option. So here what you will have to do is, there are several methodologies which we can use. One is first try to identify the all options given by that particular page. The moment you type san, you will get all the elements. What I mean to say, if I see this particular San Francisco, this San Francisco is the one option, which is this one, right? Let me deselect. If you see the next option, this is the next option, right? The ally, this is the next option, the next ally, this is the next option, the next ally, right? So what you need to do is, you need to grab all those, you need to grab all of them, based on whatever it is suggesting you, and then you have to iterate till you reach to your desired one. Okay, how are you gonna do that? If you remember, we just learned about find elements, right? What find elements is gonna give. So let's say, if you see now, if I go to UI tag, UL tag, it highlights the entire box for me, correct, which has all the options. So will it make sense that if I identify this particular tag, okay, if I try to detect this particular tag, and all the childs, I'll get it in one element using find elements method, correct? So, and then what I'll do, I'll iterate on all of them one by one using a for loop, correct?
Yeah.
Now first I'll come here. Now if I come here, what, because why this is necessary is, sometimes you may not get San Francisco here, sometimes San Francisco may come at the bottom, correct?
Yeah.
So you never know in which option they'll give you. If you see, this is the airport and this is the city, even though names are same, they have different options, right? So that's why it is important to grab all the child elements and then iterate over on them, and then reach to the your desired element. So now let's try to understand how I can reach to this particular, or let's San Diego. Let's try for San Diego because it's a third option, right?
Yeah.
So again, I'll go to inspect element, and I'm basically interested in selecting a San Diego. So rather than this, okay, if I identify this particular div element, will it make sense? Or let me show you the li. Yeah, this complete tag, right? If I am able to identify this complete tag, then it makes sense. But how will identify? Let's try to see what are the attributes which it can help us to identify. Can you help me? Let me put it in a full screen for you. Okay. So now if you see in this particular li tag, what do you think? How we gonna get this li tag? On what basis? Is there anything which you think it can be helpful?
Can you use the short name or no?
You think of, see, you know for how we gonna identify the parent element, right? And then you also know how we traverse through the list of elements we captured using find elements by and index 0, index 1, index 2, right? So when we go to an index 0, if you think, I'm just giving an example, if you think, if I use dot display text, right, or get attribute, or something like that, any of those method will help me. What do you think?
I think so.
Right? So if you are able to identify this particular li element using, let's say, any of these attributes, what you gonna do next? Will you select this? Will you click on it? You'll click on it, or you will use the select methodology, the one which we discussed in a previous class of.
You would use that one. It's the one that go to your desired one, so you don't know it's San Diego or San Francisco, right?
No. The question here is, once you reach to your desired, so once you reach to your desired drop down element, okay, using a for loop, once you reach here, how you gonna select that? Will you click on that, or will you create an object of a select class like we saw in our previous example, and then you're gonna select this, any of this, select by index, select by visible text, or you will be using this? No, you are not supposed to use this. The reason, because if you remember, I told you that when you working with the static drop downs, you need to first create an object of a select class and pass that drop down in that particular the object, right? And here what we are trying to do here is, we are trying to find out that particular select tag. Here we don't have that. Here we simply have a div tag, right? So this is gonna be, even though it looks like a drop down, this is the operation on this is gonna be kind of a normal operation of selecting it or clicking it, you know. So once you iterate and reach to your desired li element, you're gonna just have dot click operation, and the dot click operation will take care of it. So the moment I come here on li, right? So where is that?
I think if you hover over the San Diego.
Okay, yeah. So inside this div class, and so this is the class I have. Let me check whether by using this class we'll able to get all the elements. Okay. So I don't think this is kind of a weird to me, but let's check. Or then I have an ID as well.
How about the whole line one? When you hover over the San Diego.
Okay, this is also a parent one. This has even a same class. If you see this one, no, this has a different class, right? Okay, and then what is this? I don't know. This has the ID. This GR7 pickup Smarty content. Okay, this has the ID, and inside this it has another element. This also has an ID. Okay, inside this now I have a role. Okay, UL role equal to list box. Now let's go inside. Now here it's also, this is the actually the main parent, right? So if I try to identify UL tag with attribute role and value equal to list box, right? Let's see if this is gonna help us. I'm not sure. Let's try. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna come to kayak.com. Okay, let me create a new one. See, dynamic dropdowns are kind of sometimes makes life difficult. Let me tell you frankly, especially in an enterprise applications. So you need to do a lot of practice. Dynamic drop downs, and this is just one example. The next example we're gonna see is scroll down and load more options, you know, or in a same kayak.com I'll show you that, because when you go to and from cities, right, the same options will be available in both the drop downs. You know, so you will have, your code will get confused, and it will not able to understand where to select what. So there we'll have to use parent child with indexing. Okay, so yeah, let's not be that much worried. We're gonna solve that issue. So let's copy this, at least 3 things, and now here I'm gonna go to kayak.com. Okay, right, and then next thing what we need to do, first we have to identify this particular text box, right? And then we have to type it. So I'll right click on it, go to inspect element, and then this is the input, which has an ID, which has a class, and which has a lot of other things which I don't feel comfortable using it. Let's use ID. Let's see if this is gonna help us. There's a name. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think, yeah, this would work. Let's see. Okay, so let's go driver dot find element by dot name, and then right, and then dot will send keys, right, and then we just want to type san, correct? Okay, so once we type a san, the next thing we're gonna do here is now web element. You remember all drop down options, I'm just giving a name equal to what I'll do, can you tell me? Driver dot fiber dot elements, right, by dot xpath, right? So we're just trying to find which UL tag, right? Let's go back quickly. So if I'm typing san, now we are interested in third one. So let's go do an inspect path. Now let's go to li, and now its parent, where it will have, yeah, this is the lower arrow, right? So this is what we are interested to identify. So what is the tag? UL. What is the attribute? Role. What is the value? List box, correct? So let's try to write our XPath for / tag, and then in the square brackets @ attribute equal to role equal to value list box, right? Okay. So once I reach here, what's next?
Or you have your single quotes.
That's it. We now
they're all drop down option doctor, right? You can call that in the next line.
no, I'm saying once you come here and identify this, right? Let me show you. See this. If you remember, we first took all the child elements under that particular parent, and then we iterated it. First we checked the size, and then we iterated all of them, correct? Similarly here, what we're gonna do is, yes, so here first we'll check the size. So because we are not sure whether it's working, right? So I'll say all elements inside ul tag equal to, so I'll say just say dot size.
Right over that line where you have the UL row, the right row equal to those single quotes there.
Where is that?
They're double. Right over.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay, that's a good point. Okay, right. See, I'm writing in a two different way. So I don't know whether you observed. We didn't use a list interface here. Okay. And there, when we used a list interface, we used a size method. Let me go back quickly. See this, right? A size method here, whereas here I'm using get size method, because we didn't use a list interface. That's fine. Means, because here we are casting it. If you don't want to cast it, probably I'll just use like this. Either way is okay. And then import the list util. And then here the get size will not work now. So you'll have to use dot size. Okay. The first one, what we did, and this one, there is technical difference, but you no need to go in that depth as of now. So let me run this quickly for you.
So you switched it back to the list interface, right?
Yes, now we used list interface. So now it will type a SAN, and we are expecting to get all the options available after typing a SAN. I think it's not typing. Basically, what's the problem? Element not traceable, exception input ID, something. Okay. Okay, I don't think that's helping us. Java line number 14. Line number 14, which is this one. Yeah, so name is not working. Let's go back. Let's try to identify the input tag. Inspect element. Okay, this is the input element. This is the
You would think that pickup should have worked, right?
I was expecting it.
Yeah.
Does
The ID looks a little more. Maybe that.
I don't know. ID? No, ID I don't think. Let's try. Copy. Let me refresh. Inspect element. No, different, right? This time KDS pickup. No, this is this same what I copied earlier? No,
What if you create
this is not working. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, now what do you suggest? What we'll use? I was expecting it name should work because so let's do one thing. Let's go to the Chrome. Kayak.com. Inspect.
So if I use
So
now, like
so far we
the
this is the input, Control F, and then // input, right? Then name equal to pickup. Was that the one? Yeah, that works. But we'll have to write XPath. I don't know why then this didn't work. Should have worked though.
I run into those kinds of issues when I write my stuff. It works better.
Yeah, we are still not using the ready-made functionality of right-click copy, right? Because otherwise we would have directly did right-click and then go to copy. Oops, sorry. Yeah, copy, and then you go to copy XPath. Probably you may get the same thing, but we are not following that practice, at least when we are learning, right? See, it's giving an ID basically, which I know it's not gonna work for us. So I am not interested. Let's try to do it this way. Let me run it once again. Maybe the name what we are trying to use may have another tags, the other tags may have again showing an issue. Protocol handshake, sorry, not traceable. Interesting.
Wait, you didn't use a name, right?
I used a name, right? See this? Okay.
So was the tag name name?
No.
Identified it?
Let's try to use CSS. Copy. I don't know it's gonna work. Let's see. No. Let's try this one. Copy XPath. What XPath it is giving? Let's check. It is still giving me ID. Let's try.
It's a different ID this time?
I think it's giving me the same. They both are giving me the same. Oh no, this is by XPath, not ID. Yeah, this is. I'm not sure this is gonna work. Definitely it's not gonna work. Let's try it. ID is dynamic, so probably this time it will have different ID. Right? No such element found. Let me try to give. We're gonna learn about them in an upcoming sessions, okay? We'll just throws declaration. let me throw exception directly. Okay.